Four hosts, they bout to wreck shit like Marco. Addicted to the Giants like it's Netflix and Narcos. The CEO making big moves as per usual. Captain Negative calling everybody delusional. This podcast is number one. Like when you take a piss, so share the link and pass it. Like Major making splits and Mr. Make-A-Wish, the sophisticated click. I spit offensive lines, now Tim can take a sip of some beer because he likes the taste of it, right? Don't forget the New York Giants beat the Patriots twice. The sickest dudes, eating chips and salsa like it's Victor Cruz. Win or lose, always gonna root for Big Blue. It's true, this a classic show. Tyree, catch it, bro. Playing a drinking game while you listen, they call it Classico. Take a couple shots. If it's funny, you can rewind. To bleed blue means it's in their jeans like Levi's. Eli, man in the shit, just like a sailor. Captain, we attacking bum rush like Lawrence Taylor. Podcast on point, the sharp as arrow. BBG, stay gritty like Mark Bavaro.
We are back. James, what day is it today? It's Thursday, right?
I don't know what day it is, but it's football season. Put it that way.
We are here. We are ready to rumble. Talking to you about the New York Football Giants. If you're listening to us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, welcome. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be here for about an hour, maybe a little bit over. Talking.
I still don't know what Twitch is.
New York Football Giants. You don't know what Twitch is yet. You still haven't figured it out.
I still don't know what Twitch is. I have no clue. You're lucky I know what Facebook and Twitter is, and the other thing is on the gram. What is that? On the line? Put it on the line?
Well, on the gram, yeah.
We're on the gram.
A lot of things happened today. I see Twitter going crazy over Daniel Jones. So, how do you think?
Daniel Jones throwing strikes.
It was a rough go. The beginning few series, right?
All that. Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm not going to get too worked up over it. You know, I mean, I saw people going crazy over it. I posted one throw that I thought was pretty funny because, to me, his feet going a mile a minute looked a little bit like Dave Brown. But I mean, day one, you know, rookie quarterback. I mean, what were we expecting, really? He made some nice throws. He made some bad ones. It's going to be a progression, man. This is going to be. We're not going to know today. We're not going to know tomorrow because of the world we live in with Twitter and social media. We're going to get, drowned in this stuff daily, and we just got to keep our heads. We're not going to know about this kid for a while, and today was day one of a long progression. We need to see him play on Sundays, but that's a different conversation, Mark.
Yeah, I saw a few strikes being thrown by him. Rough opening series, like I said, but come on. We really counting practice?
No, I'm not. Not because of I mean, he's a rookie. I mean, wait till you see him play in the games. If you think today was rough, wait till he comes out and he plays his first series of live action, and wait till teams have some film on him and they can game plan for him. This is going to be a long progression, and we're not going to know for a couple of years if we have the right guy. So today was day one. That's all it was. There was good things. There were bad things. There's going to be a lot of good and a lot of bad. And, hopefully he plays enough this year and has enough repetitions where the game starts slowing down for him. But no reason to get worked up today over Jones whatsoever.
Now we talk a little Sterling Shepard. People are freaking out already.
Ugh.
Nothing to...
Well, they should.
No, they should.
They should. Yeah, they should. Because here's the thing with the Shepard injury. One, there's not a lot of depth at receiver whatsoever. Two, this is an injury where if you don't let it heal and they try to rush him back because of the depth issue, then, it's an injury that could linger. I mean, it's a thumb. It's a bullseye for defenders. Even if you're able to catch the ball, they're going to be going after that hand. And, it could lead to fumbles. It could lead to dropped passes. So the main thing right now is making sure that Shepard is 100% cleared to go. Now, this is a 6-week injury usually, right, depending on how he heals.
Yeah, they're calling it week to week.
That puts us right along week one. Here's the thing for me. This is such a it's such a delicate spot. It's a wide receiver's hands that to me, if he misses week 1 or week 2 to make sure that he's 100% during the course of the season, as opposed to playing him in week 1, maybe if he's 80%, 85%, 90%, and he takes a shot on that thumb with a helmet, it could be something that lasts for a whole year, or you can end up re-injuring it, and it can end up lasting maybe, not linger the whole year. Maybe it literally costs him another 8 to 9 weeks. So, it's a delicate situation. They need to make sure he's fully recovered and they don't play with this thing because of the depth. It's tempting because when you look at him and you look at the other guys, there's not a lot of proven depth on that with the wide receivers at all.
I don't think it's gonna be that big of a difference. I remember back in the day, receivers breaking their fingers and thumbs during games and still playing the rest of the season. You don't know how serious.
Different time. Different time. He could play, but that's
how many LA dislocations were there?
No, yeah, and that's great. But is it something that he's so important that him at 80% as opposed to 100%, or him at 70% because he keeps taking shots on that hand and it keeps bothering him during the course of the year is a big difference to the offense. He's so integral to what they want to do offensively that a lingering injury to his hand is something that could be bad. It could be bad. I don't think this is a devastating injury. I don't think there's no reason to start waving the white flag right now.
Right.
But the main thing is not to get hell-bent on Dallas or week 2. It's to say, okay, there's an entire season to play here. And if he's not 100% by the start of the season, if he's not good enough, and it's not even 100% to go by the Dallas game. It's 100% to go the week before the Dallas game so he can get a full week of preparation in before the Dallas game, right? Like, you don't want him to just show up and play in Dallas. Like, he needs to catch passes. He needs to take some shots to that hand. So if he's not ready by that time, don't rush him. Let him sit an extra week or 2. Let him get ready and make sure he's 100% when he comes back. He's that important.
It's a broken thumb. It's not a soft tissue injury where we have to be worried. When is he going to come back?
No, but if he but he comes back not 100%. If he's not 100%, he takes a helmet to that hand, coming across the middle or on a quick slant. It's something that can end up, if he doesn't refracture it, it's something that could he could be playing with it throughout the course of the season. My thing is, if it's not that big enough an injury now, let it heal. Let it be 100%. And then let him come back. Don't rush it. If it costs you week 1 and week 2, so be it. It sucks. It's not ideal, but it's better than having a situation where he's dealing with it all year long, or you're not sure, and he hurts it even worse.
Did you see any of Lorenzo Carter running around out there today? Seemed to be.
That was the guy that, if we were going to talk about who we're excited about, that's the guy for me. Lorenzo Carter and B.J. Hill are the 2 guys that I'm most excited about on this team. And so far, day 1 practice, Lorenzo Carter looks like he's made a little bit of a leap. And he was making plays all over the field today. So that's really encouraging for this defense. They need an edge rusher. Wasn't a place that they really addressed. We know Golden, what he was. We don't know what he could be coming back off that injury. So Carter is the guy that they need in-house to take the next step. And so far, so good, man. He was all over the place, showed good instincts on the screen pass, getting off, good hands, making a nice play, popped right up, knew his job was to get to the end zone after that. So, and not only that play, he was all over the field in practice, according to the beat writers and the people that were there. So really encouraging stuff from Lorenzo Carter, and hopefully he could be an impact player for this defense. They need him bad.
Yeah, especially in an area where you need something going on. Let's see what people.
Well, you need a playmaker. You need a playmaker on the defensive side of the ball, and they're lacking that. And if that player can come from the linebacker spot, all the better, right? Because if it's a cornerback that's your playmaker, they could avoid him, right? They can go away from him. You can game plan against him. If it's a linebacker that you can move all over the place to create mismatches and use them to the best of his ability to wreak havoc, You know, that's a weapon, right? So, you know, he's an edge guy. They need help at the edge. Hopefully he could be the playmaker that they need, really cause some chaos, create some turnovers, because that's the way this defense, that's what they really need. They need a guy to get to the quarterback, create some turnovers, make some plays on the defensive side of the ball so that this offense doesn't have to go 80, 70 yards every time they touch it. So, really excited about Lorenzo Carter and day one for him.
So you were talking about B.J. Hill also. You're expecting big things, huh?
Yeah, I am. I expect him to take another leap. You know, it's going to be interesting for him because I think that if you look at I think that there's a chance with Hill that maybe you see the progression in the film, but not really the numbers, right? And the reason I say that is because if you're an offense right now and you're planning to go against the Giant defense, there's not a lot of guys, you know, that you're going to game plan for and say, all right, well, who's going to be the guy that we try to eliminate, you know, that can really cause some havoc. I think right now, if you looked at the Giants defense, you would say, all right, well, the guy that we think that can cause us the most problems on that defensive line is B.J. Hill. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts to that being the guy on that defensive line now. And that's why I said I think you could see a leap in his play while still seeing his numbers a little stagnant, because I think it may take an adjustment period for him. But again, he's a guy with tremendous talent, and they need him to take a step along with Lorenzo Carter. Those are the two guys. Those guys need to take tremendous steps forward, one on the defensive line, one at the linebacker position, to really help that secondary. Because a young secondary in the beginning of the season is a bullseye. But they're going to be going after those guys, and it's going to be up to the front seven to put some pressure on the quarterback.
True, but that secondary, Baker seemed pretty good today from the clips I saw.
Give me a little Baker. Baker's dozen. I like Baker. I liked him before the draft. I'm a fan of Baker. I was happy to see that he was running on the first team. He was the guy that I wanted opposite Jenkins. I think he has a chance to be a lockdown corner in this league. I love his swagger. I love that he has no memory. He just, you know, is on to the next play. But still, even with his potential, you know, anytime that you're in the NFL, week one, you know, there's a lot of new pieces in that secondary. So
yeah,
you know, we spoke the last time we were on about an adjustment, you know, an adjustment period that, you know, there's going to be, you know, misreads and, you know,
learning curve,
coverages and there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there when you go live, and that's to be expected. Now, what could make up for that? Well, what could make up for that is a pass rush. So if Hill and Carter could take the next step and this defense could scheme its way to putting some pressure on the quarterback, maybe you lessen those opportunities to be taken advantage of, and you give that secondary now a chance to gel and get better over the first month of the season, to where that doesn't become an issue. So I think the front seven has a lot on it the first month of the season to make sure that they're picking up the slack for what a secondary that has potential, but is expected to, you know, see some, you know, tough times, some learning curves, just from the natural progression of things.
Sure. What was the first team defensive line? What did they throw out there today? The first team defensive line. What did they throw out there today?
I didn't even see it. The only, I mean, I watched some of the highlights, and I watched to see where the injuries were. Like, to me, like, that's the most important thing. So I didn't really see, because I don't know who's practicing, they're giving a day off. Like, to me, like, it's very fluid at this point. Like, first team, second team, I think there's probably some competition for some positions. So, you know, on day one, you know, I really pay that stuff no mind. You know, let's get out of this thing with no injuries and healthy, because I'm terrified of the depth on this roster. I don't like it whatsoever. So my thing is health, and day one we took a shot already. So important to me that we stay healthy. I'm not really concerned about who's lining up with what team yet, except the quarterback.
All right, Duran Osmond wants to know, what do we think about the Giants bringing in Trey Boston?
I think that was more of let's see what's out there. I think that if the Giants were going to bring those guys in, they would have did it already. I don't think that you would have waited till – I think if you were going to bring them in, they brought them in with enough time to have them there on day one of camp. right? So, I mean, they were here beginning of the week. Practice first started today. If they wanted one of those guys, there's not a line for them right now. They have $5 million under the cap after the Jones signing, so they could have very easily have brought one of those guys in. I think it was maybe see where those guys are as compared to what we have, and I think that they looked at those guys and said, we're comfortable with what we have and the young talent we have on this roster, and we're going to roll with that. So there you go. I think that unless there's an injury or something, you're looking at the guys that are going to be competing for the spots on this roster.
And after the Jones signing, I think the Giants are 5 under, right? 5 or 6 under the cap.
They have $5 million under the cap that they'd be able to spend in terms of an injury if something happened, if they had to go out and get somebody. Now, the thing that I thought was interesting when it came to the money and the news that I saw today was that Remmers is not a lock at right tackle, that they're going to play the best guy there. And to me, when you look at a glaring need on this roster, right tackle sticks out like a sore thumb right now. And that's even with the addition of Remmers. I'm not sold that he could play right tackle for a full 16-game season and be successful. So I think when you look at that $5 million, you can use that in a bunch of different ways. My hope is that, maybe there's a cut or, there's a guy that becomes
someone lurking, sure,
via trade that they can, move very easily without having to worry about the cap. Right into that range where they can maybe upgrade that right tackle position if something becomes available. And the other card is this, Marco, is if somebody gets hurt, there you go. Sterling Shepard got hurt today. If God forbid somebody,
you have to bring someone in, sure,
and the injury is a little more serious and you have the ability to at least address it money wise via trade or bringing in a guy that might get cut during the course of training camp. So. Yeah, $5 million is the number right now. Gives them some options, and I think that they're don't necessarily have to use it, but I think it's good that it's there because this roster, if the right guy becomes available at the right spot, can use all the help it can get.
Yeah, every year there's a guy who gets cut, and we're all like, "Oh, how the hell did that happen?"
Yeah, well, cap casualty. You see a guy in camp that maybe you weren't expecting to take a leap forward. You got a guy that maybe is at the end of a contract or is a little older. You can get away with the dead money this year on the deal, and you cut him maybe another guy loose. And we see it all the time in the league this time of year, right? We're going to see it when the cuts come. And I think the Giants right now, there's no rush. You sit back and you see what happens during the course of the next month. And as guys become available, you see if they're an upgrade, and then you have the ability to at least address it with the extra money that you have. So I don't think we'll see anything immediately. I don't think that money necessarily was for the safeties. I think it could be used for a safety if the opportunity presents itself, but I think it's more for a worst-case scenario, and we'll see what happens.
Right. I know. The Washington linebacker got cut the other day. Everyone was already jumping on that the Giants would bring him in, but he's getting cut for a reason. Got to figure out what.
Yeah, and there's the other thing. Is like some of the guys that are going to get cut are going to get cut for a reason. There's either going to be an injury history. There's going to be, they're going to be a little older. They're not going to be perfect. If a guy was that good, a team's not going to get rid of him. They're going to keep him, at least in their eyes. So, but I think for the Giants, when you look at their roster, you say, can beggars be choosers? And if a right tackle became available that maybe wasn't the perfect candidate, but was an update from Remmers, or at least a guy that can compete with Remmers during the course of the year, if it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, you bring the guy in.
Right.
If
kick the tires, see what he got.
That becomes available via trade, and you have to give up a late round pick, well, then it becomes what contract are you trading for, how long of it, what's the money. But I think that they have the option now to be able to do that by having this extra money to play with. It'll be interesting to see what they do, how they do it, and what surprises they have in store up their sleeve. Davey Gettleman.
Well, we got a bunch of rapid-fire questions coming in. Hold on.
Boom.
What do you think of Dexter? Great show. Ended out a little bad, but, what are you going to do?
Well, what was that? They want our Dexter. You know what? I never watched Dexter.
I think they're talking about Dexter Lawrence, but
Oh, they're talking about Dexter Lawrence?
yeah, I didn't see much of Dexter.
And I never watched that show. I don't think Dexter Lawrence, man. I mean, it's day one. It's day one. You know, I want to see these guys against live competition.
Sure.
You know, so they're being taken care of now. You know, it's day one. I think Lawrence is very good against the run, and the prayer that we have to have as Giant fans for where we took him is that he develops as an interior pass rusher, as a guy that could really crash that pocket and create some pressure up the middle of the field. I think
big
that's
boy.
the hope.
He's a big
There's
boy,
a
man.
potential for it when you look at him physically. So, you know, sky's the limit for a guy like Lawrence. So, you know, if he wants it, the opportunity's there for him. He just has to go get it. But day one, I mean, nothing glaring that you should be concerned about Lawrence, and nothing phenomenal that stood out. But, you know, they're not really hitting right now. So for defensive linemen, there's not really a lot that you can see. You know, it's stay healthy, learn your reps, right place, right time, you know, and more mental reps than anything. But we'll know about those guys when they put the pants on.
So we got Dex. Everyone wants to know if we saw X-Men, if he's getting many snaps. I think
I didn't hear a lot about
out there
X
a bunch.
today. I didn't hear a lot about X today. But you know what? Sometimes, you know, if you don't hear about guys, you know, that's a good thing. That means they're not making any glaring mistakes on day one. You know, I mean, sometimes no news is good news, gentlemen. So the fact that maybe we didn't hear about Lawrence and we didn't hear about X, considering, you know, are good things. So, you know, I would assume that those guys are progressing. It's day one. They'll be better tomorrow than they were today. But no, nothing glaring that we heard or stood out about either one of those guys.
See, Chip Marshall, I think he's loving the backfield. He's like, Beal, Love, and Ballantyne could all fit into different spots. Maybe we could throw a few of them at free safety and see if any of them could stick. Yeah, that's the thought.
I mean, yeah, well, that's the well, we've spoke about this before, that in the NFL today, it's a lot more about matching up, right? I mean, it used to be, you know, run on first down, you know, run on second down, pass on third down. Back in the day when I was growing up watching it.
Well, I hate to tell you.
And,
have you seen our GM? Have you seen our GM?
Well, that's, you know, right up my alley, right? Give me agita. But you know, the game's wide open now. It's a completely different ball game.
Not for us, though.
Well, I think that's what the Giants want to, what they're going to try to do, is they're going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to use play action. And they're going to try to, you know, play time of possession, keep the defense off the field, keep them fresh. Will it work? We'll see.
I don't know. I have a funny feeling they're gonna run Saquon to the ground, my friend.
Well, they better if they're going to try to win some games. They better. But I mean, going back to the secondary, I mean, offenses now, you talk about starters. There's really not. Like, if you study a defense and you say, okay, these guys are weak in the nickel, you may come out and start the game, you know, with 3 wide receivers or 4 wide receivers to spread them out. You're not necessarily coming out on 1st and 10 with 2 tight ends or, you know, with a power eye. You know, that doesn't happen anymore. Do you see it? Yeah. But, I mean, you need your secondary to be able to match up against athletes on the outside, tight ends that can get down the seam, you know, slot wide receivers that are quick. And I think that having the guys like Love and Ballantyne and Beal, the hope is that, you know, along with Jenkins and some of the veterans, Bethea, Thomas, and then you look at Baker, along with those guys, is that the other pieces can match up in situations. I don't think that you really have to worry about who's the starter and who's going to start. I think that you could look at it and say, okay, Ballantyne is a guy that I can line up against a tight end and a slot. You know, so maybe I can use him against a Jordan Reed in certain packages where he's not lined up with his hand in the ground, right? So maybe I can use Love, you know, maybe, yeah, I can use him at free safety, but maybe in situations where I got a smaller slot receiver, you know, I can bring Love up to cover him because he's good in that situation. Or maybe Beal's that guy. that you can match up against certain guys. So I think that the more talent you have back there, the more athletes you have back there, the more options you have to cover what are some very difficult offenses to stay with in the NFL. And the more pieces you have, the better. And I think that's the way that the Giants really need to look at this, is to evaluate those pieces, how they can use them to the best of their ability in the scheme that Betch is going to put together against certain offenses. They have the pieces. They just need these kids to come along for the ride and play now.
All right, from Chip, ready? Is there amount of touches that you believe Saquon exceeded this season before career longevity becomes a concern?
I mean, I think that any time that you have a running back and you draft him that high, you have to give him the ball 250 times plus. I think that if you
250,
it makes no sense not to. You're drafting him. I mean, that's carries. And I'm not talking about receptions.
Receptions, yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's the goal of it. I don't think there's a number that's too high, and because anytime that you have that running back, you better get the work out of him for the first 4 or 5 years, because it's going to go downhill after that. You see a lot of Melvin Gordon right now, phenomenal back in a contract dispute. Ezekiel Elliott, phenomenal back. Take his off-field issues off the table and just talk about his play on the field. We can talk about the player that you don't like all you want, but let's give the guy credit that on the field. That's
he could run.
Running back, right? And you're seeing teams that are balking at giving running backs huge second contracts. Why? Well, because running back is a position that you can find an undrafted free agent and couple him with a fourth-round pick and get by with it.
Here we go.
I'm sorry. It is. But when you take a guy like Saquon, when you take a guy like McCaffrey, when you take a guy like Elliott, you're going to use them. I mean, look what just happened with Le'Veon Bell. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a situation that you're going to come into because you're going to use the guy as much as possible while you have him and while he's young, because that's the best you get from the running back when those legs are young. So I think the Giants, don't put a number on it. I think that if the Giants are competitive and winning football games and the games are close and they're in a playoff race, then there's no limit to how much Saquon. He's going to touch the ball as much as it takes to win the game, as he should.
How many times will the Giants get blown out over and under 5? Oh, God.
Over. What's a blowout? Are we going to 17 points or more? Like, what's the criteria for a blowout? I need to know tell him to get us the criteria for a blowout before we make a decision on that.
All right. What's a blowout? Damn.
I need the what is the definition of a blowout? What are we looking at? 21 points? Are we looking at a Madden blowout? Like, do I get the ball one last time to try to get it cut into the lead before we have to turn the game off? Like, what are we looking at here?
14 plus is one of the comments.
14 plus 5 times? Man, that's tough. I take the over.
Okay. More than 3 TDs.
I take the over.
Oh my God! You're taking the over?
More than 3 TDs.
Well, I got this.
I still take the over.
I have
over just to be a dick.
I have us at 5, so.
I'm gonna go over.
I guess there's gonna have to be a few crushings in there.
Just so if Tim and Justin actually call in, they could yell at me.
Just to get it spicy.
Just to spice things up a little bit.
Look what I found out I could do. I could directly reply to this. Look at that. Reply. I hope so. Huh. Found something out. Direct reply button. There we go.
Look at you. Are you feeling sexy?
Look at me learning something.
Look at you feeling sexy.
Chat at me all you want, boys. I'm here. That sounded horrible.
So I thought of you. Can I tell you while we wait for the other two and we wait for some more questions to come in?
Yeah.
I thought of you the other day.
Okay.
I was at home hanging out. I was watching. I was literally doing nothing. I started watching from season 1, episode 1 again, The League, right? So I got to the episode with the marathon, and I thought of you, buddy.
There you go. Oh, so
I was thinking about it. Every time they say marathon, they're like, the what? The what?
what happened in that episode?
Oh, I forget, man. I know that Andre tries to, he's going to run a marathon. He tries hitting on a waitress or something like that. And then Pete lies and says that it was about like stealing the thunder. They were stealing somebody's thunder or something like that, man. Like a vulture touchdown, man. I've watched so many episodes in the last 3 days that I've just been, I can't remember. I'm just laughing hysterically. But I know Pete fakes like he's running the marathon. He's drinking the spunk. You got to watch it, bro. You remember that episode, don't you?
I remember them vaguely. It was a hysterical show, but I watched it so late night I would fall asleep during half of them.
That's why, bro. Go on Netflix or Showbox or whatever the hell you got, and like they're only 22 minutes. Like I've been just like watching them like here or there, and man. I miss those guys, man. That was a funny show. I'm on season 3 now, but the marathon episode, dude, hilarious. I just saw the Thai episode where they have to steal the gay people's wedding tape and go to the tape because they were racing to see if there was interference, so they had to go to the review. Oh,
that was such a
so great.
Here we go. Here's
good shit.
The return. Are you ready? Justin, welcome back, Mike.
I just got an update. The Celtics have signed Taco Fall. Taco Fall, Justin.
7 feet tall.
Taco Fall?
Why wouldn't you talk about a 7'7" dynamo?
He's more entertaining than the Giants in the first day of training camp.
You ain't lying, buddy. You ain't lying. I just got an update that the Celtics actually signed him. So high fives to Taco Fall. What's up, buddy?
Much respect to Taco Fall. Congratulations on getting your money. Maybe you can be like Shepard and break your thumb the first day after you get your money.
Let's not. It's bad enough I'm a Giant fan. Let's not wish bad things on my Celtics. How's your summer vacation, buddy?
It's been refreshing. I needed a little bit of a breather.
A sabbatical.
The Giants were doing bad things to my blood pressure. The doctor said I needed some time and space.
And now you're gonna come back now? Are you properly medicated to deal with the season? Because I think it's gonna be a long one.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
So what
are we chatting about?
Well, it's been so long since we spoke to you. We were just talking about, what were we talking about? Like the league.
We were talking about the league.
We spoke a little Giants, and then for some reason we ended up on the league. So where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about?
I'm a little concerned.
A little concerned. Welcome to the party, pal.
I would say.
What's the main concern?
On a scale from 1 to 10, I would say my concern level is about a 7.
7.
And we haven't even played a game yet.
What?
I want to know. I want to know why though. Like what changed now? Well, you've been so positive, buddy.
No. Well, here's my level. Here's where my concern is. I feel like I'm trying to think how to put this.
The general manager has Alzheimer's.
The Giants don't have anything. The Giants don't have anything to excite the fan base about in any way.
They got a generational spirit, Justin.
And as a result, Odell Beckham is in Cleveland, and he's still dominating New York headlines.
Yeah, he's gone.
And here's the thing.
But we have a generational spirit.
Here's the thing.
I
I read the Odell Beckham interview. I don't.
Did you? How was it? Give me a review. Is it worth my time?
Sure. Here's the thing. I'm not sure he said anything incorrect. But he's still talking.
Yeah.
And
did the Giants think that would stop?
And here's the problem. A day afterward, Shermer's still answering questions, which makes me think that he's, a full frittata, to use a catchphrase
League
from
reference.
the league. He's not on the team anymore. Let him talk. Let him say whatever he wants. You're the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Let
the
him
reporters are
get
asking
him
the
out of town.
questions and saying, hey, what do you? I mean, in the article, he literally called out Shermer. Like, we're in New York City, baby. If you don't think that the reporters read that interview and were like, oh, where's Pat?
We got tons of questions.
Right, like, where's Pat?
No, but here's the problem. You can't say all the right things in the media to avoid a media shitstorm about everything else but Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. is the biggest lightning rod the team has seen in the last 2 decades.
Probably more.
When they ask questions about Odell, then we're honest and we say, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not thinking about it. He can say whatever he wants. But with the piece of the franchise that really matters, the quarterback and the future of the team, then we're buttoned up and we're saying all the right things to avoid a shitstorm in the media. We're saying that Eli looks like he has a bunch of time, and this guy that we clearly reached on looks like he's the second coming of Jesus Christ. With the quarterback, one of those two things is true, right? They can't both be true. I mean, they could be, but they're not. We know Eli's not any good. And we suspect that Daniel Jones could be good, but he needs some reps. And instead of saying that, because you can't say that because it would create a media shitstorm, they say the right thing and they say Eli's the starter and Jones will back up and he'll be ready when he's ready. But when Odell Beckham wants to be talked about and he's not even in our city anymore, you're going to give him the airway? I think Pat Shurmur might be mentally challenged, and it has me concerned.
Well, he has...
Because I thought that maybe he was a guy that would be able to counteract,
well, let's remember what
were happening.
No, he has lame duck. He has lame duck written all over him.
I'm gonna give you a bad. I'll give you a hypothetical here. All right. So what did we know about Shurmur coming in? We knew he coached in Cleveland, and we knew that
thin-skinned with the media.
Much spent a lot of time. He spent a lot of time in the owner's office complaining about how the media was portraying him. So he obviously listens to that stuff still. He obviously wants to be shown in some type of light. He thinks he's doing a good thing by addressing these things. So that's something you should be concerned about. It's something we've been concerned about with Shurmur since he was named as the head coach. Here's a flip side, though. What if Shurmur's out there by himself, right? So what if Shurmur... I mean, we remember last year a lot of the film on the sideline of Shurmur jumping up and down and Shurmur looking very displeased with some of Eli's decisions, right?
Yeah.
Like we didn't conjure those up in our brains. Like they showed those on TV. There were gifs of it. It was shown on TV. Throw it to Odell.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
What if Shurmur's in a position where he knows exactly what he wants to do, but much like McAdoo, his hands are tied.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of rocking the boat like McAdoo, Shurmur is a head coach in New York City and is along for the ride. And maybe Shurmur's thinking is, and maybe the understanding is, hey, if I'm the good soldier through this, I'll get my shot with Daniel Jones whenever that opportunity comes. Now, that's not a way to run a franchise, but considering what we've seen for the last 2 or 3 years, you can't tell me that there's not the possibility that that shit is going on.
I think he's like a lame duck, my friend.
You think he's so you don't think that they've gone to him and said, hey, Eli is our guy, but don't worry. When we make the decision to go away from Eli, we're going to give you the chance to come play with Jones. Like, if that conversation's taken place, then Shermer is not in a rush to get away from Eli because he knows he can have the patience to develop Jones in time and then play him. He's going to get his shot with him. And I think that that's the only way that Shermer could be along for the ride. Because if you're in practice every day and you're Pat Shermer, who gives you the better chance with this team to win over the next 3 to 4 years? Pat Shermer's he's the second-year head coach. Mm-hmm. If the Giants went from the team they had last year to 7 wins this year with a rookie quarterback, people would be going apeshit with the money they have going into next offseason. But what if Shermer's not allowed to do that? What if he has to stay status quo right now?
That's what I'm saying.
He may be willing to do so if there's been a conversation.
Well, listen, you're gonna hate this because I thought about that. I thought about this too because I figured that you were gonna ask something like that when I was planning my comeback on the show. Right? Here's my take on the Eli situation this year. He still doesn't have a contract for next year, right? I think that if he doesn't get a contract by week 1, like, he's got to get a contract like during the preseason or during training camp.
I don't think so, Justin. I think the complete opposite. Why would you? Let me ask you, and I'm sorry I cut you off, but let me ask you, why would you do that if you're the Giants? What sense would that make if you're the Giants? Now, again, they're out of the realm of fucking.
If they don't give him a contract now, I mean, keep in mind the last 2 seasons we started the year 1-6 or 1-7.
So let me give you a hypothetical.
I don't have any.
They don't give him a contract. They don't give him a contract through. They don't give him a contract through preseason, and we get to week 1, and the Giants come November are 8-4.
And Eli's the quarterback.
You can't sign him. Eli's the quarterback. Well, I'm under the impression, Justin, that, and I'll be honest with you, that there's no chance of seeing Daniel Jones till after the bye. I don't think that you're going to – and the Giants would have to be bad for them to go to Jones even after the bye.
Right. But what I'm saying to you is the last 2 years they were 1-7. So I don't have any reason to think that they won't be that again because they got rid of a key offensive weapon. And
I agree with you.
The guy that they paid to replace him broke his thumb today. So 1-6 and 1-7.
I totally agree with you, but crazier things have happened, right? So let's say, and we look at the Giants' schedule, and you go, hey, if there's an opportunity to have a good season, they need to come out fast out of the gate. And if Eli's going to keep his job, what's he need? He needs a fast start. And the last couple of years, they've been 1-6, 1-7. Well, okay. So what if this team comes out 5-2? Right? What if this team comes out and wins a couple of games with the momentum and 5-2? Do the Giants, if Eli ends up in a playoff race, do the Giants flinch and extend him? Let's say Eli has the same numbers he did last year, and the Giants instead are winning football games.
Here's the true question, because we're talking about 2 scenarios where it's obvious that they're not going to give Eli an extension if he's 1-7, right? Mm-hmm. At that point in time, they're handing they're handing the reins over to Jones. They're letting Eli play a little bit down the stretch to say his farewell, and that's it. If we're 8-4 at some point, then Eli plays the whole season until they're mathematically eliminated, and that's when Jones is getting his reps and you're probably seeing Eli next year because at one point we were super successful. But the true question is, say we're 4-4 at the break, right? So we're a game or two out of the division. We're a game or two
I
out
think
of
it's
the
week
wild
11.
card.
So let's say they're 5-5. I think they go in the bye
Right,
week 11.
5-5.
So let's say they're 500. They're 5-5.
So what do you do then?
You go to
5-5.
Jones. Let me say this. Like, we're having this conversation. I'm of the mindset that Jones should be playing from day one, and Eli shouldn't even be on the roster, right? So we're having this conversation as a hypothetical based off of what we've seen the Giants do and how we've seen them act over the course of the last couple of years with Eli. This isn't necessarily what we would do, Giant fans. So don't go ape shit and start screaming at us and shit. Justin, I'm 100% with you. There's a concern that if they end up playing well and he matches the same numbers as last year, that they can bring him back, and that's a detriment. You got to go to Jones, and the quicker you go to Jones, the better.
Because he can learn.
Even though I am not a Daniel Jones guy, I did not want to draft him, but you took him at 6. So if you're going to take the kid at 6, you need to see him play on Sunday afternoons, not in shells, not on Saturday nights and Friday nights in preseason, on Sunday when the bullets are flying. And you need to go through those reps and those awful games, the same ones that Eli went through in 2004. You need to get those reps out of the way so that you can see the progression in the quarterback and the game can slow down. The longer they wait to do that, it's a detriment to Jones. If they're saying this kid could do everything right now, then put him in the fucking game and let him play. What are we waiting for? They're stuck in the middle. They're in QB purgatory right now, and they don't know which way to go, back to earth or to heaven.
Here's the thing that makes me even more nervous, because the realization that I came to today, as I was thinking all these things through, I was thinking about, remember, they drafted Eli, they cut Kerry Collins. John Mara was there for that. He saw the whole thing. So they cut Kerry Collins. They drafted Eli Manning. They brought in Kurt Warner to shepherd him. I think Kurt Warner was either 5-3 or 5-4 when they brought in
Kurt
Eli.
Warner started 5-2, and then the Giants lost 2 games in a row, and then they went to Eli on a veteran team that was above 500. They pulled Warner, and they went to Eli.
Yep.
Right. So that is that's
now.
the only
Hold
thing,
on, let me throw this in too, because maybe we have some young listeners.
So
maybe
week
we have
9.
some young listeners that don't remember. This was before Kurt Warner found there's a resurgence in Arizona.
Yeah.
Kurt Warner at one point at the end of his time in St. Louis and when he was with the Giants was Fumbleia King, right? So in those 2 games when the Giants went from 5-2 to 5-4, Warner did not play well. Okay, he played very bad. So the Giants made the switch. So let's get that. That's exactly how it went down.
So they were 5-4 when Eli took over. Okay. So, and John Mara saw all of that. And my thought is, because we hear all these things about how the Giants are a storied franchise, they're entrenched in history, all of these great things, that maybe Mara sees the same sort of thing in a potential situation with Eli as the veteran now, maybe hand off the baton in the same sort of way. The problem is that I don't trust John Mara as far as I can throw him. I think that he.
Well, here's the I mean, how much easier was it to go to? I mean, Warner was a they had. I mean, let's call it what it was. Warner was a stopgap, right? Like Warner wasn't. They knew Eli was the guy. Like Warner was okay. You're going to start the season, but the writing was on the wall. Right. I don't know that that's the same thing. I think it's a lot easier to move from Kurt Warner, who you just brought in, who people watched, go from this MVP type player in St. Louis to a guy that got cut for Trent Green because he was fumbling the ball all the time. You brought him in. You got a nice little 5-2 start out of him. But I don't think Giant fans, even when Warner was playing, was very like, okay, when's the Manning kid coming in? Like I don't think that now. I think that you're going to have a big issue where if the Giants are competitive and you go to Jones from Eli, whoa, this team is 5-4, and you're going to go to Jones before the bye week? Yikes. And even if it starts 5-2, like let's say the Giants start 5-2 and then, let's say they lose 3 in a row and look bad doing it, but they're in the midst of a playoff run coming out of that bye week, man, are they going to have a hard time selling to this particular fan base going to Jones at that time and putting Eli on the bench.
It's an interesting situation because here's the other thing about all of this. Any success that we have this year, and it's going to pain you to hear this as well, any success that we have on this year is going to be due in a large part to Saquon Barkley. And so there's a scenario where they beat Saquon, he makes a few big plays, James Fetcher's defense improves a little bit, Zoe Carter, Jimenez, and those boys get some pressure. B.J. Hill plays a little bit better, and we're winning games, 21-13, 21-16. We're controlling the ball and winning that way, and Eli isn't playing well. In that scenario, I would hope that if we were 5-5 because Saquon Barkley had 1,000 yards in 11 games, and Eli, had a QB rating similar to what he's had over the past few years, if the fan base would be smart enough to realize that, Daniel Jones with some legs and some youth, those would be some good games for him to draw some experience out of and maybe develop for next year. But I just think that this fan base is so blinded by the wonder that is Eli that I have serious concern. That's what I'm worried about. Is that?
Well, I'll say this: the fan base is
fucked up our season.
The fan base is a lot closer to where I was 2 years ago now than they ever have been. I feel like the fan base has started to catch up, and I feel like there's a lot more people that are ready to walk away from Eli than there was a year ago. Right, so maybe if they've addressed the line and I don't want to hear any excuses. Right, we've heard last year the line was still the issue. This year, everybody's thrilled about this offensive line, so there should be no excuses, Giant fans. If Eli doesn't come out and play well, I don't want to hear about the receivers. I don't want to hear about anything. If he doesn't come out and play well, then you got yourself a problem, and at that point, a lot of people are going to have a come to Jesus moment. And
listen,
the problem with that is I don't know that the people making the decisions see it. That they don't see it like we do, and the people that study this stuff do. They are under the impression that Eli is still fine, and that with this line being what it is, he's going to have a resurgence. He's going to have a comeback year. We're going to see. How I feel.
I will say this. We've been on this show over the past 2 years. We've been talking about offensive line, it feels like, every offseason.
Yep.
I don't want to hear the word offensive line this year at all. Fact of the matter remains that the way that the offensive line is structured right now, Spencer Pulley and Chad Wheeler are your backups at the interior guard and center position and the tackle position, and both of those players have starting experience in the NFL, and there are 6th and 7th offensive linemen. So, we have depth now at the offensive line. That's a fact. I don't really want to hear offensive line discussion. Those are a thing of the past. And now, Eli's got to put up or shut up.
See, I still think the offensive line is a problem. I just never thought that was the issue in reference to how Eli plays. But I still don't. I don't like Remmers. I'm not sold on the depth. I think that if they get a couple injuries, yikes, it could be bad. I don't like their offensive line. I like the interior. I like their guards, but I don't like their center, and I don't like either of their tackles. So but again, I don't think that should be an excuse regardless for the play of the quarterback. And I don't think that last year it should have been an issue whatsoever, because when you watch the film, there were times where the pocket was clean and Eli flat missed the guy. There were times where Eli had a chance to step up in the pocket and he was not capable of doing so. There were times where Eli should have anticipated certain things and he didn't. There were times where he did and the ball was off mark. So, and those were during the first 8 games that actually happened, Giant fans. I know we don't want to, we don't want to remember September and October, but those games count. So, Eli, the ship has sailed on Eli Manning, just like his balls.
All right, we got a few things. Coming in. Ready? Cruising with the donation says Giants fans will always find a way to make excuses. Trust me. Still making excuses by Giants fans, huh? And let's see, we got Gary wants to know which quarterback you think the Giants are going to let go.
Loletta.
You think? All right, first they're going with
Loletta.
3.
Loletta's career was over when he had that issue with the New Jersey police, during the bye week.
I was cracking up.
I would say it's between Loletta and Tanny. I would say Loletta really needs to show out, and I just don't know that he's capable of doing so.
Here's a hot take for you. I hope that this wouldn't surprise anybody, but Alex Tanny is a waste of a roster spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he is. It should be Eli Manning and Daniel Jones this year.
I was looking at a projection for our 53-man roster,
Mm-hmm.
and this projection said that we were going to keep Tanny.
Yep, I saw it.
Cut.
Yeah, but I've been saying that from day one. I said that I think week 1,
and that's a waste.
I think week 1, Tanny's the backup and Jones is inactive. How about that for a hot take?
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Hey man, it's complete bullshit.
It's probable, but if it happens, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I'm saying it, because I totally disagree with it. And if I disagree with it for the last 2 years, it's pretty much been happening. So might as well fucking stay with it.
Well,
Okay.
I don't believe. I still can't think about draft night. I have PTSD.
Oh, yeah.
I have PTSD because let me explain something to you. If Alex Tanny is the backup quarterback for a player that we took at 6, then at 6 you take the better player, and at 17, if Jones is there, great. If he's not there, then you didn't miss out on anything because you're not actually going to play him. Listen, quarterbacks, I mean, there's nothing about Daniel Jones that screams generational talent that you would hold or stockpile and wait for your legend to retire.
But what about generational spirit?
Take your quarterback next year.
I agree with you. I think that
it was a bad play of poker, especially when you consider the fact that they could have flipped 37 and gotten Josh Rosen.
Yeah, 100% correct. That's how I feel about it. That's exactly how I feel about it.
But, hey, listen, I spent all year last year defending my boy Dave Gettleman. All year last year, and that's over. I firmly
my
believe
friend.
that he has no idea what he's doing. Dave, if you're listening, I want you to at me. Come on the show. Give him the number, Marco.
It's 516-453-9383. Take out your rotary phone. Start the 5.
This year,
Go all the way down.
I'm coming at Dave Gettleman all season long. Dave, you don't want none.
What's up?
Can we start
Dave
calling
doesn't
calling the front office again? I feel like that was a great pick.
That was
I got to tell you, I'm excited that you finally have seen the light.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. They,
I'm still waiting for 3 apologies for OBJ from the 3. I'm just gonna say that. I'm still waiting on those.
You wait.
I think trading OBJ was the incorrect move. I still do. I understand why they did it. It had nothing to do with football. 0. And if they felt like
the outfit he wore to that award show, was worth the trade. Did you see the fucking outfit that he wore to the award show, guys?
You don't like the big pocket? What if you need to hold stuff?
No, man. He looked like a kangaroo.
You don't like the marsupial look?
Like the marsupial one. No, I wasn't one for the marsupial.
I saw a guy on Twitter saying during Sherman's press conference about Daniel Jones, he was the first guy in the building. His reply was like, "Oh, he always says that the quarterback is the first person in the building." I was like, "Except Atlanta." Thought that was pretty funny. Cracked me up. What's up with this?
And now this isn't a conditioning type of injury, right? The Shepard injury, it's a broken thumb. We have 45 days to the season. Chances are, I would say chances are above 50% that you would see him play at least a little bit in week 1. But Shepard.
Oh, okay.
It's a 6-week recovery. We have 45 days. So, but
Are you worried about? We had this talk, and Marco was of the ilk. He said he should be back. And I said, yeah, he should be back. But here's my concern: don't rush it. If he needs to be back a week before the Dallas game, because he needs a full week of practice getting hit on that hand before he's able to play in a game. And my thing is if he's not 100% and it costs you week 1 and week 2, so be it. He's too fucking important, and you can't have that injury lingering on a wide receiver all season long. Because if you bring him back too early and he takes a shot, that's something that could follow him around for all season.
Well, listen, it doesn't, to me, you raise a valid concern in terms of him getting hit on the hand, but that's going to happen whenever he comes back. And
that's why I want him healthy when he comes back. I don't want them to be desperate and say, okay, we need him back for Dallas because we have to get off to a fast start, and he's not 100%, and then it's something that ends up happening. Because if they know he's not 100%, he all of a sudden, that becomes a bullseye, man. They say, okay, we're going to go after that hand. Every time he touches the ball, guess what? They are swiping at that ball. They're punching at that ball. And my concern is if they rush him back, then that's something that can end up, he either re-injures it or it lasts all year where it's bothering him. Like, if it costs you the Dallas game, so be it. Make sure he's 100%, get him back healthy so that you don't have to worry about it when he comes back, and he's able to just pick up where he left off. Because it's not a leg injury, His timing with Eli should be fine. Just make sure that that's not something that's going to fucking be a pain in the ass for him all year long. He's too important.
Well, that is if they're smart enough to keep him conditioned during that time frame.
Well, that's a horse of a different color, my friend.
But hey, listen, the Giants have done a lot of stupid things over the last 2.5 years. And
more than that,
who knows what their logic is at this point. But I'll tell you one thing: if I'm associated with the Giants in any way, in any capacity, I'm getting Sterling Shepard on the bike. He's running sprints. When he comes back, he's not pulling a hamstring.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And they'll do that. He'll be. And that's what I said. It shouldn't be. Like we shouldn't. I don't think there's any reason to worry about him conditioning wise or anything like that. I think that you just want to make sure that thumb's right before you put him back in there. It should not affect anything else in terms of his conditioning or being able to play a full game. His speed should still be up to par. He's not a rookie. He knows what to expect out there. But just get the thumb right before he gets back in that before he gets back to live action. That's all I ask. Get him healthy. If he ends up healthy a week before the Dallas game and he's able to practice, God bless. Phenomenal. All the better. But if he's not there, don't risk it. Let the kids heal properly, and then come back ready to play when he's ready in week 2 or week 3, whenever that is.
Yeah, it's not a good situation to be in, regardless.
No, because there's not a lot of depth at that wide receiver spot anyway. There's a lot of question marks.
Do we know?
If you had to line up right now for a game without Sterling Shepard, you're looking at Kate and Corey Coleman being your guys. With who else there? Jesus Christ.
Do we know who threw the pass, by the way?
I saw someone on Twitter say it was Eli, but I don't know if that was just jokes.
Because that was the first thing my dad asked: did the new guy throw the pass?
It was Tanny.
Yeah, if it was.
Cut that guy.
Cut
him. Gentlemen, is there anything?
It was Tunji.
Is there anything that you want to cover before we close this out? Anything we should touch on?
So
I don't think so.
we're opening against the Jets. Is that right for the preseason?
Mm-hmm.
No, are we? Since when? I thought the Jets were week 3 always.
No, I think Giants Jets is August 8th. I think it's the NFL Network's opening night of preseason.
They switched it up on us. Oh, about that. All right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Here we go.
And so, do we?
You won't see much. You won't see much from either. playing the preseason, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, I agree. No,
And
that's right.
let me see him play with the first offensive line. Let me see him play with Saquon. Let me see a run pass option. Let me see something that he can do where he can get a little momentum and feel good for himself. Like get him a little positive interaction, because you're not going to see him when the season's done. And you don't need to see Eli. We know what Eli is. He's getting those reps in practice. You can steal a series here during the preseason, but for the most part, if Jones isn't playing with the first team in preseason, we should be very concerned. And you should be concerned for two reasons. Either he's not up to speed to be able to play, which is concerning, or two, he is up to speed and they're not playing him because they don't want people to see what they have with the first team, because then the ruckus will start.
Or 3, and this is so absurd, I know it's not true, but I also wouldn't put it past them either. Or 3, they know what they have, and they don't want any question about whether or not Godfather Manning plays at the beginning of the season.
Justin, I do not, for as absurd as it sounds, wouldn't be surprised.
Blog Talk is acting totally crazy. Just kick me out. I'm calling into my own show. I can't get in.
Oh,
the question.
Yeah, maybe it thinks you're a Russian hacker.
I'm a Russian bot.
The question
Russian bot.
that I have about
Makolovia.
is, does he have naked pictures of John Mara with strippers and blow?
Yes.
Like, is that
Oh, he has pictures of Kate Mara
right?
with me.
No, Kate and Eli have a secret affair.
Oh man, can you imagine? I'd kill him. I'd kill him if he touched Kate. He needs to call the show and ask permission before he does such a thing.
It has
Like
to be clear.
whoever proposes to Kate needs to call the show and ask our hand in marriage.
Yeah.
It's the only right way.
I mean, that's just out of respect.
100%. Kate Mara, we love you. We hope you're not in a secret love affair with the player that has taken our franchise hostage.
Yes.
All right,
Especially since
gentlemen.
you're in a secret love affair with one of the hosts of this show.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, let's end on that note before my computer melts down and I go into a fit of rage because I can't take it any longer. And
Well, at Kate, just make sure you send this to Kate.
Sure.
At Kate, sure. Let's try to do this not tomorrow. Let's try to do this Wednesday. Let's get back to a normal Wednesday sort of deal going on, and we'll take it from there.
I'm back.
You got it, handsome.
I'm back.
All right.
Better than
Justin,
ever.
welcome back. Thank you for calling in, James. As always, thank you.
As always.
And everyone,
Mm-hmm.
we'll be chatting to